Okay, so we are going to learn about IBM, UCM, Clearcase, and ClearQuest. So IBM has different Clearcase. One is base and the other one is UCM. So when they often refer to as base has the command lines. That's what I have seen. They use mainly all the command lines. Even from UCM, you can use a command line tool. But however, base they don't have that nice of interface, so they tend to go towards the command line more. Basically, UCM stands for Unified Change Management, which is a process. Okay, Unified Change Management, which is a process. Together, Clearcase and ClearQuest makes that UCM. Because Clearcase is a version control system, so developers, what they do is they check in, check out, they modify the code, and they check it back into the repository, right? And then ClearQuest will track all of the check-ins that are made. It tracks who made it, where was it made, why was it made, what was made. So it tracks all these changes. Now, one thing that we need to understand about Clearcase is the repositories is called WAB. Check-in is check-in. Checkout is checkout. These will remain the same. Check-in. Checkout is checkout. Branches are called streams. View, which are pretty much the sandboxes, or you can call it like workspace. Local workspace is called views. And that's it. So repositories are WABs, branches are streams, and sandboxes are views. There are a very popular question is how many different type of views are there? There are two types. There's dynamic and snapshot view. Okay, so dynamic is just a reference to the WAB for that branch project. So it's, even though you see the code, it's not physically on your computer. It may appear that it's physically on your computer, but the code is actually referenced to the repository. Once you restart your computer, the reference can be lost and all that code that you see will not be there no more. So you just need to create another reference. And the other one is snapshot, which is a hard copy of the code. And if there's 20,000 files, snapshot will take longer, about 15-20 minutes to get all these files on your computer from the repository. Dynamic is instant. Within a couple seconds you will have all the code. The purpose of dynamic over snapshot is dynamic, if you need to look at some changes that somebody made, you can, it's always updated. You never need to update anything. If somebody's making changes, dynamic will pick it up right away. Snapshot, however, you will need to update the repository. Update from the repository. Update from the branch, pretty much. So dynamic, it gets updated. So why do we even use snapshots? You know, if dynamic is so much better. Well, when we are doing builds, we need a code that is consistent, that is not changing at that time. So if they tell us to do a build at 5 o'clock and we're doing a build at 7, now within these 2 hours, dynamic will pick all the changes, but snapshot might not pick all the changes. Snapshot is a hard copy at that time that you're doing a build. It doesn't change because you have already updated it. Now if anyone's making changes while you're building, those changes are not going to come in because you have already done the update, but dynamic will still pick those changes, and builds can fail during dynamic. Plus dynamic is used for auditing purposes, so that's one main reason. Auditing in a sense meaning you can log into a view right away and you can start seeing, okay, that oh, these files have been changed recently, like 2 minutes back, and things like that. Snapshot, you have to view, you have to update it. Update might take 5 minutes, and so on. Then there are when we create streams, there are integration streams, and then there are development streams. Now they are both streams. They are not so integration stream is normally referred to as a parent stream, or like it could also be considered like a trunk for that project. Trunk is like the mainline code. And development streams are child streams. Child streams where it's under the integration stream, right? So now the idea is that, you know, within the repository we have application code, so we have many different components, and within each component we have many sources, many bins, and lib directories, right? So when we create a view, we will get all these changes on to our computer. View is needed to do everything. So another concept that I want to show you is there's a concept of delivery, which is sending your changes from child branches to parent branch, or you may choose the destination, right? Destination where you like to deliver. That means I'm taking all the code in this branch and I'm going to send it over to another branch. Rebase. Getting the changes from repository. It's not as an update because you're getting the changes from the repository, or if not to confuse you, you're getting the changes from the parent branch. Okay, that's actually that's the right term. Getting the changes from the parent branch into the child branch. So they're opposites of each other. Delivery, you're sending it. Rebase, you're receiving it. And then there's a process of baseline. Baseline is tagging the code, right, that you have received. Tagging the code that you have received. Now, if I did a delivery from A to B, I will create a baseline on B. Okay, B meaning B received the code, and you create a baseline there. If I'm doing rebase and I am receiving from B into A, then I create a baseline on A. So wherever the code came in, if delivery, that's a parent one. If rebase, that's child one. That's what you do baselines on. I'm going to talk a little bit into the concept of baseline, and then there's another term called recommend baseline. So baseline and recommending baselines, the idea is tagging the code. It's pretty much just allowing the code. Recommend, you say recommend, it's saying I approve all your changes, and I'm going to stamp it, or I'm going to label them on that branch, the branch which received it. And now, why do we need baselines? The reason why, say A delivers to B, right? And B, and after B doesn't get baselined or recommended, right? Say C is also a child branch of B. If C tries to rebase to get the changes, C will not get the changes of A. So again, in this term, if you look carefully, B is a parent of A and C. Okay, B is a parent of A and C, and if A delivers to B, now A's changes have been delivered to B, and now C wants to rebase to get the changes in B, but C is not able to get it. If if A, when he delivered to B, and B created a baseline and recommended that baseline, that means whatever the code is on B, it's recommended that everybody should pick it up. It's good. And then if C rebases, right, to get the changes, C will be able to see all the changes that A have sent out to B. Remember, rebase is getting the changes from the parent branch into the child branch. Okay? So, and let's take another example. If say there's another branch called D, right? Or I'll say it like this. Say like here's a parent branch, okay, and parent branch we'll give it parent branch 1, and then there's child branch 1, child branch 2, right? So say branch 1, which is parent branch, has some code which was which parent branch 1 rebased from its parent. And you may say the parent branch is like here, say this is trunk, okay? Trunk is a parent of parent branch 1. So within branches there are many different layers. So parent branch has some code which parent branch 1 rebased from its parent trunk, okay? It didn't parent branch 1 didn't baseline and recommended it, right? Now will the child branch 1 and child branch 2 will be able to pick those changes up? The answer is no. Child branch 1 and child branch 2 will not be able to get those changes. Okay, they will not be able to get those changes. But if parent branch 1 has some code which parent, branch 1 rebased from its parent trunk, and they recommended the baseline, then child branch 1 and child branch 2 will be able to get those changes. So recommending baseline is I accept the code, and same thing with here. If say child branch 1 delivered the code to parent branch 1, right, and didn't baseline and recommend the parent branch 1, child branch will not be able to see the changes when he rebases. So the concept is, anytime you do a delivery, make a baseline and recommend it on the parent branch. Anytime you do a rebase on your branch, you recommend, basically you baseline and recommend your child branch, which is a branch that you're working on. And there are some things which are called triggers, and they may use a Clearcase command line which is called clear tool. And triggers are automated scripts, can be written in Perl, and they're used to do all this automatically. For example, we have a trigger here that it will automatically lock the branch, which is a parent branch, for the lock the parent branch for the developer who started delivery from his child branch. After delivery is completed, it will automatically baseline and recommend the baseline. It will automatically baseline and recommend the baseline. After, it will unlock the branch for another delivery. Unlock, this is a parent branch for another delivery. Because every time you do a delivery to a parent branch, it gets locked for, it needs to be locked for that person, so no other deliveries can be accepted. It will not allow it, but that's the idea. Okay, I will save this a little bit after. Okay, take a minute to review this information. If you have any questions, please write it down, and you may ask me after this video. Okay, now we are going to talk about, I'm going to use another notepad. I'll put this on the bottom here. And so basically there's a project explorer where you can see all of the WAPs, views, meaning you can see which views are created, not exactly the code, but views, branches. You can unlock the branches. You can um, see you can do the deliveries. You can do the rebases. Um, you can basically you can create the views on there as well. You can that's where you will create baselines and recommend baselines. And the other thing is you will be able you will be able to see the history of changes such as deliveries which are accepted to a parent branch. You can also see rebases and activities. So these are the certain things that you can see on a Project Explorer. Then there's Clearcase Explorer. This is where you will create shortcuts to your view, and then you can see all of the code. Once you can see all the code, check in. You can do check in, check out. You can look at the history of a file, right? And you can see history of folders and these certain things. And then there's a ClearQuest Windows client which we use here. Now this is used to create defects, enhancements, activities, right? For the check-ins. Now again, I'm gonna speak about what are activities here and this way, and then we'll be able to just go right through the process, and this way it'll not be very complicated for you guys. So activities, they are basically, they track changes. Right? An activity has a purpose. So if there's functionality which is being added, now within that functionality can be broken down into several activities, and those activities can be managed, can be sent out to development team, right? And each developer may work on one activity, or multiple developers can work on one activity. Now all the files that they're changing, that will be logged against that activity, that will be referenced within that activity. So activity has a state. They can be completed, they can be open, or they can be dev in progress and things like that. Like dev in progress, meaning development is going on. They can be closed, they can be opened, and things like that. And in Clearcase, each activity is towards one branch. When you create an activity, you need to reference the branch in which you're working, and then you also need to say the developer's name or whatever. Like each activity can be assigned to a developer, so you need to assign an activity to a developer. Over here you don't, but project managers do, but that's the idea. You assign activity to a developer. Now all the changes that he's doing, every change that he makes, every time he checks in, it's going to ask him which activity are you checking against. And at the end, when he's all done, you can look into that activity and you can see all the files that he modified. Alright, so let me show you Project Explorer. Here's my Project Explorer, but here's Clearcase, IBM Relational, here's Clearcase, here's ClearQuest, right? In Rational, basically, there's a license key administrator. This is where you will put in the license for the Clearcase. That's like more towards the administration side. I have done it. It's quite simple. It's not that complicated. I can show it to you. It's so there for Clearcase you have to acquire licenses, and they're normally very expensive. It's just here you put in a license server name, and that's it. And that will do the job. And then it will tell you that it's connected. And then there are Clearcase Explorer. Then there's Project Explorer. These are the main things I work with. Within these two, there are all these things that you're seeing. They are pretty much built inside these. So let me click on Project Explorer, and so on the left side you will see things like WABs. You will see branches, which are streams, right? And within each stream, there are child streams, right? And within those child streams, there are more child streams. Okay, I'm going to show. So basically, file. You can, you can create a child stream, or you can create a project. But we don't do it through here. In view, you can show my streams only, which are the branches that you worked on. Show all project WABs. WABs are all the repositories. So first thing we're going to do is show all project WABs. In tool, they are like deliver from stream. I'll go back into that, and it's pretty much the same thing that you can do from a branch. Show all project WABs. Okay, so these are all the project WABs that we have. These are all the repositories we have. And so within these repositories, I'm going to click on one of the repositories, which is projects, right? That's the one that we work on most of the time. And then these are projects now. The first thing was now even though the repository name is projects, that doesn't mean all of these are projects, like the other ones are not. For example, in ESMS PWAB, this is a project too. In framework, there's these projects too, So anyways, whatever that symbol is, the three icons, those are the projects. And this is a project. I'm going to expand that to see what there is. And the first icon that you see as a triangle is the stream. Now that can be said that is a integration stream. That could also be said as a trunk for that project vision. See, it's taking somewhat time to expand it, and the reason is that it's a huge, there's probably like a couple of hundred branches inside. And at the end, all these branches should be merged back into VisionEnd, because that's a production branch. So anytime, whenever there's a production, you should take out the code from VisionEnd, and then you should deploy it. So anytime if there's branches, for example, if 4 branches got created, one branch is due this week, the other one is due next week, and the other one is due in 3 weeks, and then the fourth one is due in 4 weeks. After the first one is done, the code is verified, they can deliver up here, to VisionNet. Second one is done, they'll all eventually get delivered to VisionNet. But it's not on a weekly type. It can be on a monthly type as well, where let's take an example, AO1. Okay, now AO1 has AO1A, and then it has AO1A.1. So AO1 now, like say AO1A delivers to AO1, AO1B delivers to AO1, AO1C delivers to AO1. This week, second week. So look at the diagram. And if we click on AO1 here, you will have the history of what happened to AO1. For example, delivery AO1A was accepted. That was a long time back, so it's not really being used. And AO1E was accepted that day. These are all the deliveries, right? Deliveries from other branches that were accepted on AO1. So all these deliveries were accepted on AO1 at different times. Okay, and there was a AO1 check-in. That's not a delivery. AO1 check-in means somebody worked on this directly. Deliveries were not accepted. Like you know how you can send deliveries. You can also work on the branch too, right? So whenever it says a check-in, that means somebody actually worked on here itself. Normally the idea of integration branches is to accept deliveries, so this way it can maintain a clean history of all the deliveries, right? And if you'd like to look at any information on what changes were accepted onto AO1, you will click on this one. You can right click on it, you can say properties, and see, you will get this screen, and this screen is of ClearQuest. This is not a Clearcase screen. Remember, Clearcase and ClearQuest is integrated together to create a UCM, Unified Change Management Process, where any changes can be traced. So if you go on the UCM tab, looks like I don't have access for this. Maybe let's check for this. Okay, here if I right click on here, I go to properties. So this is it says a defect. This is a defect activity, ATM CQ, ATM ClearQuest, and that's activity ID. This activity was created in ClearQuest. If you look back at my notes, that's what I specified. Status says dev in progress. That means development is still going on. There could be notes, there could be development here, how much time they spent, the resolution and things like that. They can also send attachments. You can look at the history, right, of what was changed, requirements. Unified change management is what we're looking for. It tells us that, okay, well, the file is at version number 3 now, and the file that was changed against that activity, one was reportbuilder.java and the other one is visionapplication.java. Okay, so that's how you can see, okay, which delivery came in, because every delivery, these are deliveries, right, that were accepted. Now when somebody delivers something from one branch to another, they are delivering activities. Okay, they're delivering activities. That's all they can deliver, because activities are changes that they have made. and this is normally they will deliver like one activity. And if you click on the Unified Change Management, you will be able to see more files that were modified. So during deliveries, you are actually sending out activities, right? You're delivering activities, and these activities can be traced through UCM tab. Okay, so now we somewhat got the idea, and let's see how can we look at the code. How can we view the code and things like that? Because if you need to do a delivery, or you need to do a vBase, or you need to do a lock, unlock, anything, you will need to have a view. So the view is created. If you right click on it, create view. If you need to create a branch, create child branch. If you need to deliver, deliver from stream. To default is the parent, so that will deliver to AO1. To an alternative target means you can pick any branch that you like. We don't do deliver baselines, but vBase is you want to get the changes from AO1. Make a baseline. You can recommend a baseline. There's some baseline dependencies that you can manage here. I will not talk about it, but it's something that could be learned when you guys will see it at work. Then there's properties, and within the properties there are baselines that you can see here. I will speak more about the baselines. You can see all the views that people have created. You can also create a view from here. You can lock unlock for particular people. So excluded users, so it says state is locked. It's locked for everyone, but the only two people that are excluded are these two people. I'm going to add myself in there. Apply. Okay. Now let's create a view. So watch what happens. I right click on it. I say create a view. And it asked me, do I want to create a development view, right? Or integration view, right? I can check mark this. And so I'll have a dynamic view. I'll have a development view, and I will have an integration view. And within these views, there are two types, dynamic and a snapshot. So I have told you in my other notes that development view is just this current branch, and integration view will create a view on my AO1. So let me cancel this. So if I'm creating a view on here, create view, I will create only a development view. If I create an integration view, that will also create a view on AO1. Now, do I want to create a dynamic or a snapshot? Dynamic is right away. Snapshot will take time. So I'll create dynamic. Normally, it gets mapped to the M drive. M is in Mary. I'll specify my name here. A1A. And I'll say finish. See, location is M drive. I will say OK. And within like few seconds, this will be completed. So it's pretty much getting the code from the WAB, which is a repository, and the WAB is, in this case, it's a projects, right? If we go back again, I'll show it to you after this is done. It says it's not responding, but anyhow, let me check. I go to computer. I go to OneDrive. And it's AGIL A01A, right? That's the one we created. And I actually got the code here. So let's go inside Vision. And it has been a long time since the code has been modified. So it's fine. And it says it has been created, right? So I'll say okay. And this is what you see inside the code, right? Over here, if I expand it, I will not be able to see these file folders, right? Because over here, you only can see branches and whoever has their views on there. So what I see right here is the entire code. If I go to Visual VSN app, there's nothing there. I go to VSN build, nothing there. They must have moved files over. VSN Java, access is denied. VSN configs. Okay, so it looks like the code was moved, but that's one way you can create a view. Here, Vision WAP. Okay, well, it looks like they denied access to a lot of people here. And those are the jobs of administrators. We can create a view on somewhere else, but this is just an idea. That's how you create a view. And after the view has been created, right, now what you can do is you can deliver, you will modify the code. After you modify the code, like a developer, they will deliver from stream to like a default. And when they do that, it will show all the activities with undelivered work, which means they have these activities doesn't have any nobody has ever sent out any of the code. And then you can say okay. You have to change the view here to the one that you created. So when you say change browse, you will pick the one that we created, right? And delivering to so AO1, sorry, AO1, I don't have a view, but you can also create a view, and then you can send your view, whatever information you have, or any activities you changed, you can send it. And once it receives it, right, you can make a baseline. And the process is very simple. All you need to say is like your name, the date, right? And then you will say okay. And this way that's all it is. I mean, and they will tell you okay, baseline is created. That's it. It might tell you right here it's completed, or it'll give me like a denied access, but that's the idea. Anytime you do a delivery, then on AO1, if I did a delivery, I will make a baseline and I will recommend that baseline. I'm just gonna cancel it. Now see each name, SL Common, SL Imaging, SL Standalone. I'm gonna show you something, okay, what baseline really does. What's the concept of a baseline? So I'm just gonna stop it. Close. And let's say after it got baseline and then you recommend baseline. All recommending does is you just click this button, seed list. Seed is like bring all the changes in, like seed to like a list with the most recent baselines and promotions, like you're promoting the baseline. Click on seed list and then you say okay, and then the dates will change to or like whatever baseline you created. Like I created a guild date, so whatever components which are modified will change. Alright, I'm going to give you a little bit more information on the baseline concept. Now say application is made up of 30 components. Okay, branch 1, developer creates a view, and project manager assigns him an activity. Spelled wrong, but it's okay. Assigns him an activity. Now within that activity, right, developer is checking in. Developer can use check-in and checkouts to modify the files within the branch one, right? So now say application is made up of 30 components, right? And developer modifies 10 files in component 1, 20 files in component 2, right? 30 files like in component like 5, like say like 10 files or like things like that, 30 files in component 5, and you can say like 30 more files in component 8, right? So now how many components are modified? Component 1, 2, 5, and 8. 4 components out of 30 have been modified. Okay, what a baseline does, each component has its own baseline. So only 4 baselines will be labeled and recommended. Said that meaning like whenever you create a baseline, right? Okay, so each component has its own baseline. Forget about it, I said that for now. Okay, now say like branch 1, right? Branch 1 is being delivered to the parent branch, right? During delivery, the activity will come out, the activity will show, right? After, once the delivery is completed, right, during baseline, Clearcase will compare the components which changes it got in the parent branch. So during baseline, Clearcase will compare the components which are changed in the parent branch, because within that activity 4 components were modified, right? And it's gonna know that okay, these 4 components got modified just now, so it probably got new files or somebody edited the files or things like that. When you give a name of a baseline, like I gave it a gil date, right? That name of baseline will be applied to only 4 components, and rest will remain the same. When you recommend it, it will pretty much post these 4 labels on these components, and whenever any child branches of that parent need to rebase it, they will get the changes from those 4 components, and other components as well if they have not rebased at all. But whenever you create a baseline, it only baselines on the changes. That's it. And we'll see list, right? And so that's the idea of a baseline. So I'm not going to show you how to rebase or deliver, right? The process is very simple. I can show you like maybe a branch that they're making changes on. Um, and this is a very big branch, and I will show you, sir. I'll show you the Clearcase Explorer now. So I'm going to create a view on here. There you go, vision, and okay, and finish. So developers, what they do is they will create their own branches, right? Like AO1, they will create their own branches and they will start working on there. Sometimes a branch may have 3 or 4 developers on each, like working together. If say on this one AO1B, there's 4 developers that are working on that branch. They have their own views on their own machines, right? Now to get, if developer 1 sends changes to AO1B, developer 2 wants to receive it, that process is called update. It's not rebase, because rebase is from a branch to a branch, right? Rebase is from a parent branch to a child branch. From one branch, if there are 4 developers that are working on there, and they need to synchronize their workspace with each other, they need to update. All right, let's go to my Agile Vision Int. Agile Vision Int. So I guess they really blocked access to. They must have really blocked access. But anyhow, um, I'm checking what other branch might have code that VSN. Like this, I know this has it. Uh, so anyhow, that's the idea for rebase, make a baseline, recommending a baseline, doing properties. So let me go back here. I'll go on my computer. I'm gonna go on my M drive and there's RC3. Vision. Some of these branches are not even see, it's very hard to maintain. The administrators are the ones that are managing the code on there. I can log on to one of the other servers and I can show you. Let's create a BPO branch here. I'll show you. So if we go to BPO, so that's another like project. And these are all the branches underneath. So if we click on like BPO RC1, right, or let's say BPO QAC1, right, you can right click on here, you can say create a view, right, and say next and put in Agil and none, finish, yes. This is a very small application. I was trying to show you the big application, but I normally don't log into my computer. I log into another computer, the build machine, and then I do it. But it's I need to be very careful when doing these demos. Okay, now created a BPO QAC1 vision.wob. So it looks like they have taken off access for. Okay, let me show you on the build machine then. So this is the same view, BPO. These are snapshot views, okay? BPO QAC1. So this is a code that we saw, and if we go to like one of the other views, say vision int vision.wob, you will see all these components, right? When you create a view, this is my build machine. You will see all these wobs, right? And this is where developers modify code. So if they need to modify something in SL accounting, they will go to source, right? They will modify all these accounting files, all these Java files. And same thing, like there's many other files which they can modify, right? They can modify all these such files, and they will be working in the source one. And bin is which we use for compiling purposes only. So again, the sources of which they will modify. If they modified one file underneath, or 1 or 10 files, doesn't matter. That's under SL accounting, right? If they modify some files under SL application, that will be the SL application files. So that's two components that they modified. And whenever they create a baseline, it will pick out changes only from those two components. I'm going to open up a Rational Clearcase Explorer, and that will give you a little bit better understanding where we do checkouts, check-ins. So if I'm under my vision project, I'll say like add view shortcuts. You pick a snapshot view, you specify the location wherever your views are, right? I'll say here, this is where my view is, and I need to look at my vision int. This is a vision int, right? I'll say okay, and this says the path is not resolved, but it's the same thing as here. Okay, in this case, they don't let you open up this. Okay, for example, like this is one of the shortcuts that we created. You just right click on it, you add it, and then you're able to see the same files which you're able to see on Clearcase Explorer. However, you can do things like like you can expand it further. You're able to see the content, and if you want to change a file, you can do like you should be able to uh, like change it. If you have, these are view private files, but let me see if there are any other files. These are all view private files. BPA weekly and doesn't exist. Deployment BPRC1. Private files are meaning they have not been checked in. Um, Let me see if I can actually add view shortcut snapshot. I have CC views, deployment QAC1. Okay, so I added a QAC1. These are all views that I created. And here I'm going to go on ATM SVL link. These are also showing as private files. So there are all bunch of components in there. And what normally developers do is like, they'll have activities. Whenever they try to modify anything, they can check out, check in against an activity, and they can work on the files. The list will normally appear here. That is, you must have some type of activity. Okay. Now let me go back here, and I'll create a view for you. So this way, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. You're just getting to see more practice. Better it is. I'm gonna open up Rational Clearcase Project Explorer, projects, vision. This is vision int. I'll just put in DP as in deployment, and vision, DP vision. This is the first time like it's being configured, so um, it's gonna take. That's why there was an additional step in there. My computer, M drive, DP vision. It'll take some time for the information to come in. There it is, vision.wob. So they actually took out access. Maybe they have moved the project over somewhere, but however, that's the idea. Normally they will go on this tool, they can work on here, they will be able to check out and check in the files. Okay, and this way they can trace any activities or anything. Anytime they ever need to check in anything, there will be a button over here. We'll see check out. As soon as you check out, a screen will come up that says, okay, provide in your activity ID. And one other thing that I want to show you is Clearquest. Clearquest for Windows client. So this is where you will create in activities and things like that. Uh, um, so you will go to like new defect, right? New defect, and these are all the types that you can choose. I normally pick out UCM utility activity, and automatically it generates uh, an ID which I copy. Owner, I will pick it like myself, right? And headline, I can say updating config files, and I'll say okay. And then what you need to do is you need to find that again, because you're gonna be assigning it somewhere. So you say UCM utility activity, open that, and action, work on, and as soon as you click on that, it will show you all the branches. This is the same thing what you've been seeing, right? It's going to show you all the branches. And remember, we were working on here vision 6 int, or was vision and vision int. So if you open that up, you can pick your view which you created, right? And from that time, any check-ins that you will do this and that, you will make modifications against that activity ID. So say I worked on, I that's a view I created, right? I said okay, and it became active. So next time I'm working in Clearcase Explorer, right? And I'm working for that branch, right? I'm working for that branch, the Eagle Vision Int, which it's not this one, but add view shortcuts. And then you will pick the view, right? Again, which one you created. This one, I think it said Eagle Vision Int, so it apparently came over here. But again, since there's nothing I can do to like look at the code, like ATM, block, vision, or vision.wob, will be visual. I mean, we don't have access here anymore, but if we would have had access, we'll be able to make changes. Like you'll right click on it and you'll be able to modify all the changes. Okay, this is it for right now. I'm going to, there's another project which they have been modifying. There's another project which they have been modifying. I know they used to work on the BPO, but you know, things get changed. There's so many branches and things get changed like all the time. I can request a developer for a branch if needed, and I can show you, but you know, pretty much it's the same idea. I meant to teach you the concepts which I did: delivery, rebase, make baseline. The rest of the stuff is pretty simple. All right, guys. Thank you so much.